Dear friends, first I would like to thank the organizers, Milind, Jayesh, Akhil, and Dr. Anil Pachnekar and Dr. Rashmikant Sanghvi for giving us the opportunity to share our experience and our views. Welcome friends. You know, some of the people may have known that I had a liver transplant 5.5 years back, and almost like after 2 years of transplant, we had arranged this program here where I had shared my experience. But a lot of people are new and some of people were not aware. So I just wanted to say in brief what I went through. You know, during my internship in 1978, while coming back from my rural posting, I met with an accident with a truck while driving on a motorcycle. I was brought to Suchak Hospital in a very bad condition with multiple fractures in the spine and profuse intra-abdominal bleeding. Immediately, I was taken on the theatre for rupture of spleen, which was removed, and I had a cardiac arrest on the table and I was revived. Surgery was performed by Dr. Lalit Kapoor and Dr. Singhi, and to them I am forever grateful. I was given 10 units of blood. There the problem started. After that, I was completely fine for next 9 years. I was completely fine for next 9 years, and in 1987, the first time I discovered to have jaundice. We kept checking our liver functions, and when it became more than 6 months, I realized that I got a problem which has become chronic. So I was sent to England and I consulted Dr. Roger William and Dr. Sheila Sherlock, who were best in the field at that time. And at London, I had my liver biopsy done. During that time, I was told that I got chronic non-A, non-B hepatitis with early cirrhosis. Later on, it was labeled as hepatitis C. From 1990 to 2005, I took 4 courses of interferon. Each time I took interferon, I responded temporarily as the virus reappeared each time. My activity was absolutely normal. I was working full-fledged till 2006 when my general condition started worsening and my liver started failing. At that time, I was told I did not have any options. I could go for a liver transplant as it was the end stage of my disease and nothing else could be done. But giving up was not an option. After surveying few centers in India and abroad, in January 2007, I finally decided to get my live donor liver transplant at Indraprasth Apollo Hospital, Delhi. I was taken for liver transplant surgery on February 19, 2007. This surgery normally takes about 10 to 12 hours, but I had a lot of complications because of the previous surgery, the bad adhesions and all. So my surgery almost took 23 hours. I was given 60 units of blood and blood components. I was bleeding from everywhere, my platelets were very low. My liver was fully removed and was found to have 2 tumors of cancer. During my post-operative recovery, I had decided I will surely walk out of this place hale and hearty. With that spirit and strong will, I started mobilizing myself and I was discharged after 40 days. I had one more complications of biliary leak, which was after about 9 days, and they did a hepaticojejunostomy, which was almost like 5-6 hours of operation. Then that biliary leak stopped. I went through all the problems, and by God's grace and good treatment, I came out. There was an excellent team headed by Dr. Subhash Gupta. Their expertise and caring attitude is something I owe my life to. Added to this, my strong will to survive and my zest for life, these were the factors which helped me pull through. I had decided not to give up. This was the photo before my transplant and after transplant. I had all my support from my wife, Abha, who was standing like a rock next to me, and my son, Dr. Suraj Suchak, and Tui Sigman. I had tremendous support for all my friends, Dr. Umesh Khanna, and almost like 30-40 doctor friends. They came to Delhi, and almost on the day of operation there were 70-80 people outside Apollo. After the transplant, I resumed my normal duties in about 3 months' time. I have to take precautions because I am on anti-rejection medicines throughout my life I had to take. I am advised to stay away from infective patients, but I still go for all life-saving emergencies. If there is an emergency in the ICU, some patient has collapsed, if they give me a call at any hour, I just go and do my job. I participate every year in Mumbai Marathon to promote awareness of organ donation and cadavер transplant. This is the fourth year I'll be going. This January 20, we have almost like 30 people registered, and I am going to take some liver transplant patients with me as well as kidney transplant patients with me for the 6-kilometer dream run. I have been exercising and regularly. I have been involved in other social and other activities. As you are all aware, I took the responsibility of IMA as a president after my transplant. Was also active in AMC, Malad Medical, and now we have launched Indian Liver Foundation. And I was lucky to get a live donor for my transplant. I am repeating this. I was lucky to get a live donor for my liver transplant, but more than 90 to 95% people have no recourse but death. However, we can all help and give them a second life if we understand the concept of organ donation and cadaver transplantation, which is now termed as disease donor program. The message I would like to convey is the end stage liver disease seems like the end of the road, but it is really not. And I am a living example of that. The gift that has been given to me says much about our capacity for great compassion and generosity. And I hope it sends an inspiring message to others about the importance of organ donation. The following presentation in short about organ donation and related information will help you, will be information you will definitely go home and think and definitely work on that subject what I am going to share with you. This is the Mumbai Marathon slide which Times of India had covered. This is the marathon photograph. I also went to Leh Ladakh 7 days. I had the hobby of clicking photographs. Photography was my hobby. So I decided to go to Leh Ladakh, and at 18,300 I had no problem. I was walking around comfortably after my transplant. This is my wife Abha. This is the just liver camp we had about a month back, and we launched the ILF where Shri Mithun Chakrabarti and Irfan Khan were helpful in launching. And also I would like to say that Dr. Umesh Khanna Ambulina, they are part of this foundation and as actively involved as I am. I will little give information about the liver transplant. As you see, the definition says it's a surgical procedure performed to replace the diseased liver with a healthy from either a deceased or a living donor. These are some of the facts which you may be aware. The adult liver is the size of a football and weighs of approximately 1500 grams. It's the second largest organ. At any given time, approximately 10% of blood volume circulates in the liver. Our entire blood supply travels through the liver several times a day. It is the second most transplanted organ, and 60% of all liver transplant patients are alive after 5 years. We can function with only 10% of our liver, provided it is normal and intact and undamaged. More importantly, this is very, very important, I have underlined it, we have the capacity to regenerate the entire liver. The indications of liver transplant, you may be all aware, all the cholestatic disorders, there are almost like 4, and the other ones are chronic parenchymal disease, which includes all the viral and alcohol related and autoimmune. So these are all very important indications. These are also, sometimes you go into acute fulminant hepatic failure. A, B, C, also the drugs, acetaminophen. I remember recently one patient in Bombay hospital who had a girl of almost like 19, 20 years. She had to undergo a liver transplant because of the drug. She had some fever and she had to take some paracetamol, which was little higher dose she took, and she landed up in acute liver failure, and she was transplanted later on. And there are also rare indications like metabolic disease, polycystic liver disease, Budd-Chiari, neoplasm amyloidosis. These are the contraindications. AIDS or HIV we are not doing in this country. Reversible brain damage, multi-system failure that is not correctable by liver transplantation. malignancy which has spread, also infection outside the hepatobiliary system. Then if there is active alcohol or substance abuse, if somebody takes alcohol, they are not taken for transplant, there is an ethical issue, minimum 6 months of abstinence, then they consider it. Then advanced age and morbid obesity is also one of the contraindications, but relative one. And history of multiple upper abdominal surgeries. If you have a lot of adhesions, lot of problems, there is definitely difficulty in doing the liver transplant. And advanced cardiopulmonary or other systemic disease. Friends, this is the advice you can, liver transplant to your patients when you have to be very, very careful when there is a decomposition of liver and all the complications of liver disease like ascites, variceal bleed, hepatic encephalopathy or severe jaundice. If they come, you have to be aware that such patients will need liver transplant in the near future. Also, like what Umesh mentioned on the smartphone, the MELD score can be easily calculated. There are 3 things which are required to calculate the MELD score, that is creatinine, INR and bilirubin. And the score is between 6 and 40. Anything above 15 to 20 is also considered. The MELD score is something which gives an idea that the person is going to survive in next 3 months or not. So if it is somewhere around 40, you know 90% of people will die. If it is 1% or 6%, like only 1%. So this is very, very important score. But it is not 100% correct, but it's almost like 90%. And from MELD score, they decide how to put the people on the list of the transplant. Then development of liver cancer is also one of the conditions which early cancer hepatomas like what I had can be put to transplant. Isliye all family physicians should have careful monitoring to all the patients with cirrhosis to look for signs of liver failure so that referral for transplantation occurs at the appropriate time. They are not late. Like what happened in Vilasarao Deshmukh. He got late and he lost his life. Salient features of surgery. I have undergone all this liver transplant which I just mentioned, 12 to 15 hours. Many factors determine the length of operation, including the experience of the surgical team, the number of surgeries the recipient has undergone in the past, and degree of the recipient's illness. The average length of hospitalization of liver transplant is about 2 weeks approximately. In live donor liver transplant, the donor's right lobe is implanted into the recipient and the recipient entire liver is removed because it is diseased and it doesn't work well. So right lobe, which is almost like 60 to 70% is required for the patient, and only left lobe is put in small children or maybe a small female adult who does not have much weight, then they can be managed with left lobe. The liver generates like 70% in 3 weeks. This is very, very important. I mentioned there was an underlined line earlier, and in 90% is 6 weeks. The whole liver grows from like 700 grams of liver is put in about 5 to 6 weeks. It becomes 1400 to 1500 grams. The liver regenerates completely, but it is only like one lobe. Either if they put right lobe, the whole right lobe enlarges. If they put left lobe, the whole left lobe enlarges. But the functions are perfectly all right. LDLT is a very donor-safe program. They don't take chance with the life of the donor. They are very, very careful. Whoever the family member is, if they feel there is some little problem, they will deny it. They will not take. And the risk is almost like 1 in 500, and it's absolutely safe. And donor is only there in the hospital for about 10 days, and can be go back to work in about a month's time. So he also. Then cadaver transplantation, if you are lucky, you get the whole liver. Your liver is removed, the whole liver is put, and that's easily harvested into a recipient. That's a better way. What we are going to work is only on the cadaver transplant. In our country, why we are doing live donor is because we are not getting cadavers. After the operation, all the patients are put on immunosuppressive medications. These are started immediately after the surgery because to prevent rejection of the transplanted liver and will continue lifetime. Periodic blood tests and checkup are done weekly for first 2 months and every 15 days thereafter 2 months, and then every 6 months ke baad, maybe every month till 1 year. The recipient has to take care for first 3 months. First 3 months they are not allowed to go to public places like going in a train, so that you know, because you are on immunosuppressants, you are prone to infections. So they have to see that you don't get infections till the liver gets adjusted the way it should be. So it takes about 3 to 4 months to become fully independent again after following a liver transplant. The recipient will not be permitted to drive until all pain medications is stopped and the surgical wounds are healed. All liver transplant programs prohibit the use of alcohol after transplantation. You know what I mentioned about the alcohol abstinence? We have a lot of, in this country, alcoholic cirrhosis, and they want to go for transplant. And they have to undergo a lot of psychiatric counseling and assessment. If they feel that these people are going to go again on the alcohol, they're going to harm the transplant program. It's like an insult to the transplant program. Advice to all your friends and patients that you can help up to 50 people if you decide to donate your organ and tissues. What we are talking, Dr. Umesh Oza is going to cover up the brainstem part, and your heart could beat for someone else, your lung could breathe for someone else, your kidney could free 2 patients from dialysis, your liver could save the life of a person awaiting transplantation, your corneas could give sight to 2 people, your bones could repair other people's damaged joint, your skin could help healing many burns victims. Give the greatest life, give the gift of life. Organ donation is the process of removing tissues or organ from a live or recently dead person to be used in another. The former is a donor and later is the recipient. People of all ages can become donors. There are 2 types. One is a living, one is deceased. Live donor is related or not related. Disease could be after brain death or after natural death. Where are the organs coming from? There's 2 different places that organs come from. A living donor is someone who cares about you and wants to help by giving you part or all one of his or her healthy organs. The donor can be related to you like your mother, father, spouse, brother, sister, son or daughter. They can be unrelated like a cousin or a friend. The doctor and nurses will take good care of the living donor and make sure they are healthy when they are ready to go. Someone who has died from a serious injury can also be a donor. That person's family wants to help someone else live. So they agree to donate the organs. Your doctor would make sure the organ is healthy and will work well in your body. These are from the living person, what you get is, all you know is blood, bone marrow, kidney, portion of liver, portion of lung and portion of pancreas. Organ donation after natural death. There are only very few like eyes, skin and fascia, heart valves, bone and tendons, cartilage, vein and arteries, middle ear. But this is not much done in our country, but it will come in the near future. This is the most important list after brain stem death. These are all the
Sir.
2 eyes, 2 kidneys. You can just see
Sir,
the
time is up.
Yeah. All the religions, they support the organ donation. Please don't take your organs to heaven. Heaven knows that we need them here on earth. You are not a donor just by signing your donor card. You must tell your families, because something happens to you, if your family is not aware, all your efforts of signing a donor card doesn't come into this thing. India, the statistics is very bad. We need to really work on this. I will straight away go to who can donate. 85-year-old person can donate their organs or tissue. These are questions asked. We say yes. The oldest person is 92 years who has donated, and 100 years almost the eye and all. Can a 85-year-old someone with diabetes? Yes. You have to be very careful with some of the organs. Kidneys and heart has to be checked. Someone who wear glasses, no problem. Eyes can be taken, all organs can be taken. Someone who has cancer, only if it has not spread. If it is metastatized, no, you cannot take. Someone with HIV, no. Someone with hepatitis C, yes, but they will be treated, but the tissues cannot be given. Hepatitis, contraindication for tissues. Someone with have died under accident or something like that can be done after checking the coroner's certificate, consent is required. I'm just going to go, this Indian Liver Foundation which was launched recently, these are the organ donor cards which were put outside. People who have not received can definitely take, And also we have given a brochure which you can put it in your clinic so that more people can see. I have already pledged my organs. And at a certain moment, a doctor will determine that my brain has ceased to function and that for all intent and purposes, my life has stopped. When that happens, don't call this as my deathbed. Call it as a bed of life. And let my body be used by others to lead fuller lives. Get my blood to the teenager who has been pulled from the wreckage of his car so that he might live to see his grandchildren play. Give my eyes to a man who has never seen a sunrise, a baby's face, or love in the eyes of a woman. Give my kidneys to the one who depends on a machine to exist from week to week. Give my heart to a person whose own heart has caused nothing but endless days of pain. Explore every corner of my brain, take my cells and let them grow so that someday a speechless boy will shout at the crack of a bat and a deaf girl will hear the sound of rain against her window. Take my bones, every muscle, every fiber, every nerve from my body to find a way to make a crippled child walk. Burn what is left of me and scatter the ashes to the wind to help the flower grow. If you must bury something, let it be my faults, my weaknesses, and all my prejudice against my fellow men. Give my sins to the devil and give my soul to the God. If you do what I have asked, I will live forever. This was a poem by the Robert Test, a beautiful poem. The end or the beginning of someone on a transplant waiting list, consider organ and tissue donation. To take home message is our responsibility as doctors. I am very sure that all these general practitioners, family doctors can make tremendous difference in the cadaver disease program. And we should see that from our dispensary, if we are able to put up posters, which I don't mind sending to everyone, and donor card, and also all the information about organ donation. You can put it in your waiting room, they can read, and it's going to bring more awareness, and a lot of times if they are in the hospital, they call family doctor, what do I do? So at that time, if you think you got enough confidence, you can advise them. Our president, Dr. Milind Nayak, and Dr. Jayesh Lele and his team has made the organ donation and cadaver transplant committee under my chairmanship. I had the opportunity to go to almost like 10, 11, 12 branches to share my message of organ donation. So I am thankful to them, and also we've been approaching state government and some laws have been recently amended, and still we are continuing the initiative. Thank you very much.